Welcome back to another edition of Have Blog Will Travel.
Last week we did our first Barcelona podcast, so this week we are following up with our second. Also last week we were cleansing, but guess what? We ain't cleansing no mo.
Nope.
So,
it's the sound of sweet wine being poured.
drink it up.
Cheers.
All right, so last week we talked about the importance of being spontaneous in your trip, getting recommendations from other tourists and from locals alike. So this week we want to talk about some other particulars.
Yeah.
And the first one would be don't fly American.
Never. You'd think we would have learned this lesson by now because we've flown American so many times, and every single time we either get delayed or our seats aren't together or our
You have
seats
no leg room.
are all the way in the back by the bathroom that smells like poo.
or your TV doesn't work.
Oh, well, we won't talk about that. So, really, the real advice you can take from this, don't fly American if you can help it.
Absolutely. Also, we learned that if you are flying American, because let's be honest, it's cheap, which is why we do it. If you're out of the country and headed home, you need to get to the airport with ample amount of time.
You know how you always hear, like, get to the airport 3 hours ahead of time, and here we laugh about it? Don't laugh about it. Just do it there. Anywhere.
On our way home from Barcelona, we were in a line for over an hour simply to have our passports looked at by the American staff. This was before we ever went through Barcelona airport security.
Yeah.
This was just for American.
Yeah, it seemed like it was like training day because nobody actually knew why we were doing it. Like, we got all the way up to the front after an hour and a half, and the guy behind it looked at me and he goes, "Why are you here?" And I was like, "Vacation."
Good question.
And he's like, "No, I mean this line." And so, don't fly American. American, if you're listening, change our minds.
Do better.
We would love to go on a trip
better.
provided by you.
Absolutely. So our suggestion is that if you can get fancy and fly business class,
Yes.
you should do it. We'll never be able to do it, we don't think, but you know, that's just in an ideal world.
And if you can get TSA pre-check, try that.
Absolutely.
Although that doesn't mean you won't get stopped, because every single time this little ginger gets stopped and patted down by the TSA.
It is so true.
Yep.
It doesn't matter where
No
we're
matter,
going.
no. Every single time.
Whether Greece or the Dominican or Barcelona, Ashley is always the one out of the four of us.
I get flagged every time.
Well, it's because you're so cute.
I don't think that's why, Jesse.
I'm pretty sure. But she gets patted down pretty heavily. So they do about as good a job as Ed would do, right?
Sometimes better.
So that's a first tidbit. Secondly, one thing that was really pointed out to us before we went to Barcelona was the issue with pickpocketing. A friend of mine just had returned from her honeymoon, and Barcelona was one of their stops, and they actually got pickpocketed on the subway. So she brought it to our attention before we left, but then upon further research, we found out that it can be a real issue there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, like, especially at the markets, or if you're not paying attention. Where we were staying apparently was, like, a pretty big issue. But I think that's the same with anywhere you go. Like, it's the same if you're in New York City. You know, it's not just Barcelona specifically. Like, any city, you should be aware of your surroundings and be rude, be weird, stay alive, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, in preparation for the trip, all four of us bought a plethora of different things that would prevent us, we hoped, from being pickpocketed. I bought like a little pouch that would hook onto my bra strap on the inside.
I also bought that.
Tyler got an armband to go under the sleeve of his shirt.
What else did Tyler get? This is one of my favorite parts of the whole trip, truthfully.
Also, I guess it was you and Tyler both had read something about having a dummy wallet.
Yes.
So essentially your money and whatever's important, your cards are kept under wraps somewhere else on your body, on your person. But then you take a dummy wallet that you can get rid of, and you place it where you would normally put your wallet or your purse. And so Tyler brought an old wallet and kept it in his back pocket the entire time we were there.
With a little note in it that was basically like, sucker.
It's
gotcha.
too inappropriate to share
Yes.
with you, but basically that was the gist of it.
Said, you silly person didn't get my
You-
wallet.
The goose. Who's the goose?
You are.
But he kept it in his back pocket, and it almost became a game through the whole trip.
Trying to get that dummy wallet stolen. Like, Tyler would literally, we'd be on the subway and he would leave his back pocket unclipped or whatever, and then just poke his little booty out, and nobody wanted to take his dummy wallet.
Well, and it was funny because typically among the group, there's quickly like sayings that kind of come into place. And so anytime we travel, and so Tyler's on this trip was, if I don't get my dummy wallet stolen, I'm going to be so mad.
He would take it out of his pocket, set it beside us on the table. We'd get up and walk around. It would still be there. Like, it was honestly, it became such a huge joke. And guess what? He came home with his dummy wallet.
He
So
sure did.
it's just to be aware of your surroundings, no matter where you are. I don't know if I would suggest carrying a dummy wallet, but if you do, we'd love to hear about it.
How did it go for you? I personally felt, I think it's been drilled into me by my friends and others that I really need to be aware of my surroundings. Thank you, Dr.
Oh, yeah.
Zara.
Absolutely.
But if you do that, if you are aware of your surroundings, then I think you're okay. I mean, I felt safe.
Yeah, there was never a moment that I felt threatened, and we walked around all the time, at night, in the morning. Like, there were streets around where it was just us and one other person. Like, I never felt uncomfortable, but that's just to say you should always be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
Like,
We
if
did
Crime
try-
Junkie told me anything, it's that.
And you've passed that on to me because I can't listen to Crime
Yeah.
Junkie. But we did, on the subway, I would say, we tried to, wherever our cards were, that typically was like backed up against a wall. Like, if the guys were carrying our cards, I feel like things were not just so out in the open that someone would have to work really hard to get to our stuff.
Yeah, and we weren't trying to, like, just be ignorant going to a new place. We also were like, we're not going to just hand someone our phone and be like, hey, take a picture. You kind of, like, gauge your crowd, you
Well,
know?
Tyler talking about being able to, the way Tyler would pick people walking by to take our photo of the four of us is he is the fastest runner of the group by far. Tyler could outrun any
Wheels
of the other three of
DeRozier.
us. And so his whole thing, which I had completely forgotten about, was to find someone he thought I can outrun if they steal my stuff.
Yes, because we weren't going to go down without a fight.
Well,
no chance.
And really, there was one guy he selected who was very long and lean to take our picture, and it didn't make sense that he would pick him because he looked like he would be a very fast runner. But after the fact, Tyler said, "But did you see his shoes?"
They were slip-ons.
He goes, "He might be fast, but he's not going anywhere with those slip-ons on."
But speaking of being pickpocketed, our little Irish friend from last week's episode.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, we said we were going to talk more about her.
So Jessie knows the story better than I do because I think she told you guys, and I was probably
If you
dancing
remember, we
alone.
were in the Shenanigans bar that was covered in Post-its.
Yep.
And Tyler did not talk first to this beautiful Irish girl. She spoke to him.
obviously.
But once we all were gathered around chit-chatting with her, she was the one that gave us the recommendation for the bunkers. But she also shared with us that a friend of hers had been in town, lives elsewhere, had flown in to visit, and the two of them were out walking around, and they were actually attacked.
Yeah.
And she said that they had on fanny packs, and they could just feel two men getting closer and closer to
Yeah,
them.
like closing in on them.
And so one thing, they were out at night. She said it was late, and she said it was just the two of them. And these guys got closer and closer, and finally, she was pretty bold.
Yeah,
she turned
she's
around
feisty.
and pushed him away and told him to get away from her. They even still, one of them reared up and actually kicked her.
Yes.
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 And then they stole the fanny pack.
But Then the girls, because the girl that was visiting was about to leave
The next day.
and her passport was in the fanny pack. So these two little feisty chicas ran after these grown-ass men and got their stuff back.
They beat these guys down to
Yes.
the point that cops came around. They got their fanny pack back. But I was amazed because I wouldn't have thought of that in the heat of the moment. Somebody kicks me and steals something from me. You're
take
going to
it.
pick me up crying off of the floor.
Take everything.
I'm not going to go, oh, hold on, we got to catch him.
No, I just was like, I respect it. But that was another story that was like, okay, be aware. Jesse and I are going to be walking down the road by ourselves.
So it's not, it is something that is very real over there.
For sure.
But our experience was really positive.
It was. Yeah. Again, never felt unsafe, but we were also with two very strong men. So,
Tyler tried to have the foot race with a cop.
oh my gosh, yes. Our area was always surrounded with cops just because it was a safe area, but it was probably safe because of that.
Right.
And one night we were out and Tyler saw these two cops with like straight up machine guns and went up to him, and one looked about his build, and I don't even know how they got on it, but Tyler asked if they could have a foot race, and the guy really wanted to, but I think he was with his like chief.
Yeah. His partner was like, oh, that's funny. No.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I have on these boots, which feels unfair. And I was like, I would like to see it.
I was personally mortified that Tyler was, when these guys were on duty, he was like, do you think you're fast?
Yeah.
The guy was like, yeah, I'm pretty fast. I was like, do you think you could beat me in a foot race? Like, why would you challenge him?
But he loved it. The guy loved it too. He was like, probably, maybe not these boots. It was just such a moment.
It was ridiculous.
But also fun to watch.
But, very entertaining to watch.
I'm just glad we didn't get thrown in the pen of Spain.
I wish I was as bold as Tyler and Ed when it came to stuff like that.
Me
That
too.
I literally looked at someone and thought, oh yeah, I can definitely beat you in
I've
something.
never met someone, even like a 5-year-old kid. I'm like, you would take me. No doubt, kid. No doubt.
100%. Oh, all right. So as we conclude our podcast, we get to what we think is the most important point of the day.
Yes.
Which would be, do not get sucked into every tourist trap. We are not saying that big landmarks are not worth your time.
Because they are most of the time.
There are definitely some that are, but what we learned was that there were these, as we got recommendations from people, one of the things that locals would say would be, oh, don't spend your time on that.
Don't
this
do
instead.
the paid walking tour. Don't
Right.
do...
So there were some big things that we definitely wanted to do. We definitely wanted to head over to the big street that is so famous there, La Rambla. And we definitely wanted to go to the Picasso Museum, and we definitely wanted to go see the Sagrada Familia. My grandmother, bless her sweetheart,
Such a doll.
she is a traveler, and she had spoken to someone who said, you have to go to the Sagrada. And so she called me and she said, I'm living vicariously through you. You four have to go up in this amazing, it's a basilica that's there. You have to go up. You have to go in one of the towers. You have to take the tour. It's worth it. And I know you guys are cheap and you'll do the free part. You have to go in the paid portion.
She was accurate with that.
So we did, and it was incredible. But
Oh my gosh, amazing.
all of that to say, you know, not everything that is made to be a big deal, I think, is always going to be worth the
I
ticket
agree.
price or the time invested in a line or something.
Exactly. And I think it's important to see more things than what everyone else is there seeing.
Right.
You know, like you could easily spend an entire week doing all of the tourist trap things.
Yeah.
Whether that be, you know, I don't know, going to the museums, every museum, there's so many beautiful things to see, but I don't necessarily think you have to do all of them unless you have...
Unless that's your thing.
Yeah.
It's not really our thing. I mean that's true.
No, prime example, Picasso Museum.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, so this was something we felt like we needed to do. Like, let's go be cultured, experience it.
Luckily, we didn't pay for that, though.
That was free because...
Just side note,
Yeah.
on the first Sunday, if you go to Barcelona, the first Sunday of every month, museums are free. But with that being said, you need to get your tickets in advance
Yes,
because they're
they
going to
do
sell
sell
out
out.
quickly. But so because of that and finding that on the intranet, we got our tickets for free to the Picasso Museum because we got them like a week or so in
By
advance.
Jessie, because she plans things. And we would have all flown by the seat of our pants and showed up. And
we thought that was something that we really needed to do. But carry on.
We apologize ahead of time if any of you are absolute Picasso lovers. However,
enthusiasts.
We walked through this whole freaking museum.
Garbage.
And Picasso started off very talented. And then the more we got to talking and going through it, we don't know if he just did too many drugs or if he like punked all of us, because things just started to go downhill and confusing so quickly.
Well, his work changed so much every 3 to 5 years.
I feel like art majors are listening to this right now.
I know, and they're
probably
judging
so
us
many
harshly.
of them.
I'm sorry, but I'm also not sorry.
If you could explain it to me, I'd love to listen.
If the work that he did later on really invoked a lot of emotion, then please contact us and talk to me about why.
Yeah.
Because truthfully, I saw a lot of talent at the beginning of his career, and I think he continued to be talented, but what Ashley said about him punking us, I kind of think he was like, you know what? I'm going to scribble some 5-year-old mess on this napkin, and I'm going to see if people buy it. Because they're already buying my stuff, so we'll see if they go with it. And then they did.
I've gotten similar gifts for Christmas from my 5-year-old nephew.
That is accurate. I've actually seen his work, and he is Picasso.
He is. Protege. It was just so...
need to tell them
what the
Americans
said.
Because your accent is so good.
We were in the museum, and it really is, it's big, and there's so many twists and turns.
It was dragging on.
And there was this woman that, I don't know where she was from, maybe Alabama, maybe South Carolina. And she was Louisiana. She was standing there and talking to someone, and walked in another room, and I was standing behind her, and she said, Jesus, this shit never ends. And honestly, I related so hard to her in that moment, and I was like, she's not wrong.
No.
It is. What time is this thing over?
Yeah, oh, wait, we're pacing ourselves. Can we get out of here?
And so, moral of the story.
We're sorry if that bothers anyone, but we're just being honest about our experience.
Yeah.
The Sagrada was 100%
on
worth.
The flip side.
When I first looked into it, I thought about buying the cheapest ticket. We ended up getting the most expensive one that included the tower tour, the audio guide, all of that.
Thank you, Em.
But 100%, I would pay for that again, because that was incredible. That was breathtaking.
But
the Picasso Museum, I'm glad it was free.
I am too. And so with the Sagrada, we also, I think everyone gets the headphones, right? Or is that part of the...
That's part of the paid ticket.
Okay, so when I see people walking around museums with headphones on, my first instinct is like, Americans, right. Truthfully. I lost my friends. We all completely lost each other and just went on our own little walk around the Sagrada, and they described everything, and to like understand why they did what they did was like...
It was incredible.
Beautiful.
It was incredible. It really was.
It was one of the coolest parts of the trip, hands down.
So 100% worth it. Picasso, not. The other thing I really enjoyed was the Arc de Triomphe. I'm sure I'm like butchering that, but that was a beautiful landmark that I'm glad we went to see.
We went to Parc
Güell. How do you say it?
And we hadn't bought tickets. And
we made this mistake.
And we hiked up a 40-mile hill on maybe the hottest day we were there.
Oh, Lord help us. We were just sweating bullets.
Oh, my gosh.
And we got up there, and we had to break in the shade, which didn't do much for us.
By shade, we mean like a tiny rock that the four of us huddled under, and our body heat was making us even hotter.
But we got there. We wanted to get in line to see it. We found out it was sold out. So... what we're telling you is you do need to look, if there's something you're really set on, you do need to look in advance about buying tickets.
Yes.
And what the hours of operation are, because that was something that we missed out on. But I feel like that area was beautiful.
It was. And we got to see a lot because we hiked for so long up the hill.
Because I feel like we went totally the back way around.
We did.
Which is why we saw so much.
Which also, again,
Not sorry.
Lost.
Not sorry. Fun. Yeah. Sweat through your britches. No big deal.
Yeah. And then there was the fountain.
Okay, so
Speaking of looking at hours of operation.
I was so determined for us to go and see the magic fountain. Basically, it's a fountain kind of like the one in Vegas that is going to light up. It's synchronized. The fountains inside of it are synchronized to music. It's supposed to be beautiful. And again, we set out to go see it. I had not looked at the hours of operation, and we found out that the day we went, I think we went on a Tuesday. Mm-hmm. It was our last night there. Yep. And we found out it was only open Wednesday through Sunday.
Right. Like, what are the freaking odds? But we had so much fun. Like, don't let a little hiccup in your trip throw everyone off. We ended up going to, like...
I personally got very sad, but my friends rallied me.
Yeah, well, never let one person be responsible for planning your whole trip, because that's a lot of pressure, and it's unfair. And because Jesse felt so bad, and I was like, hey, guess what? None of us looked at the hours of operation either, so don't take this one on you, sister.
So, we would suggest that. There is something that I feel like we can be honest about that probably in hindsight we shouldn't have bought the Barcelona card.
No.
So we bought something called the Barcelona card that not only, we bought the 5-day pass, not only does that give you 5-day access to the public transportation, unlimited for 5 days, but then it also gives you access to different museums and attractions, some free, some heavily discounted, and we thought, not knowing exactly what we're going to do, we should do it.
Yeah, that we'd see a lot more.
But for us and what we ended up doing and the recommendations that we took, we would have done better to just buy a Metro pass.
We're just simple like that.
Because we didn't take advantage. If you're a museum person, it's for you. But we didn't take advantage of all the museums.
No, not at all.
So I think that's an honest review of that.
Yeah, for sure.
We probably spent $30 more a person to get that. And I think we could have just done the Metro Pass. Yeah. But I'm not mad about it.
No, we did get to see some cool stuff.
They did try to charge us to go in the exotic museum.
Yeah, our husbands finally convinced us that they really just wanted to go into this erotica museum.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And we were like, you know what? We're in another country. We already saw boobies on the beach. What's the big deal?
They weren't that good, so I hope I see some good ones.
I can handle a couple more. And
they want us to pay $9 a person to go in.
I was like, I feel like you need to pay me $9 to let my husband walk through here.
Yeah,
you perverts.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
but that was right across from the market.
Yes, the market.
The market was another free thing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how much free stuff you can do if you just research it.
God, it was so cool.
Talk to people.
So the market is this huge area with all of these different vendors. They're all at their stands. They sell fruits and nuts and meat and cheese and all kinds of baked goods and eggs and really it's just your basic market, but it was huge.
Yes.
And it was so cool to walk around. Seafood. You and Tyler couldn't stomach that very well.
Yeah. We'll definitely touch more on the market on our next one, but it was awesome, but going mid-afternoon after the seafood and everything has set for a while, it's a struggle to breathe through your nose.
Ed and I were having the best time, but that's because we geeked out hard in the market.
Yeah, they're like the adventure ones, and Tyler and I are like, oh, it smells, what is that? It touched my foot, what is that?
It's wet, why is it wet?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, we did. The other thing that we didn't mention, as far as kind of off the beaten path, not necessarily getting caught in tourist traps, was Michael Collins the day we went to the Sagrada.
Oh my gosh, you guys. So that was when
the women's soccer, what is that? Sorry everyone, is it the US something
I want
cup?
To say
this big soccer game.
Yeah,
Please do not write in and tell us how stupid we are.
We know. It was a big soccer game. It was huge. So we went to this bar, Michael Collins, which was actually an Irish pub, correct?
It was so cool.
And they were playing the soccer game. And we went and we got
it's the World Cup.
The World Cup.
Thank you.
I wanted to say the
We're
US
not
Open,
idiots.
so glad I didn't.
I did too. That's tennis, I think.
I know.
Maybe, perhaps.
Or golf, who knows?
All right, carry on.
Either way, so we got there early before the game had even started, and they were doing all the pre-show, and we were 4 of the only people in this really dark bar. And they had a big TV, so we went and we
Well, they
sat
had TVs
down.
everywhere.
Yeah.
But we went to the biggest one.
Yes, in the back, and we were literally sitting right in front of the TV.
Such a good spot.
And people just started pouring in.
Within 10 minutes of the time
Like,
we got there.
we had the best seat in the house. We were drinking tall beers at this Irish pub, eating Irish, like, fried food.
Oh, so good.
I was like, this is my people.
It was genuinely so much fun, to the point that we had our book tickets with the Sagrada
Yep.
because we were trying to kill some time before we went to that reservation. It was so much fun because this bar quickly filled up to the brim with people, lots of Americans, lots of people from the UK.
Everyone essentially cheering for USA.
Yeah, it was amazing. And so we went out, Ashley and I, and changed our reservation, moved it back 45 minutes or an hour. You couldn't reschedule it completely just because things like that book up so quickly and they stay booked. So they were gracious enough to move us back an hour. And so we stayed at Michael Collins for probably an hour and a half of the game. And it was so much fun being in an Irish bar in Barcelona.
With a bunch of different people.
Oh, we had the best time.
It was so much fun. And unfortunately, we missed all of the good parts of that game, I think.
Oh my!
But
the moment we walked out of that bar, you actually said, "I know they're going to score."
Yep.
And within 5 minutes of us leaving, USA scored.
Yeah.
USA. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. USA. They scored 2 goals.
yeah.
And then won the game.
But
it was,
what a cool experience to
It
be
was.
there during
Why?
that time.
Do the guys call it TJ Miller's?
I still am not entirely certain.
I don't know either. It's so funny because Tyler and Ed, when we knew we wanted to talk to everyone about Barcelona, they said you cannot leave out TJ Miller's. But I don't know why they called it that.
I don't either. I mean, maybe it sounds very Irish too. TJ Miller. Is that an Irish name? Michael Collins, TJ Miller?
Collins, TJ Miller's. I don't know. I have no idea.
No matter what it was a beautiful
We did
thing.
decide we might have to name a dog or something. A future
kid.
pet, TJ Miller.
I'll name my kid TJ Miller one day.
Feels fair.
Yeah. I'll take one for the team. If her name's TJ Miller and you're listening, we apologize.
But I don't know. It was, again, such an amazing trip. So many things I feel like we are kind of throwing at people, but really...
Our main points: don't fly American, carry a dummy wallet, don't get sucked into tourist traps. If we could wrap it all up in a pretty bow, that's what we'd say.
Those are the things we would tell you.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for this week. Because next week we really want to dive into food and drinks.
Yes.
Because we had the best time
We
just
had
eating
plenty
our way
of.
through Barcelona. But I think that kind of wraps it up for today. I wish that we had pulled up our Drink Well advertisement. But basically,
You guys know what to do.
drink well.
Drink better.
Mofos.
Feel better. If that's not their slogan, it should be.
Drink well. Why haven't you contacted
Yeah.
us yet?
Well,
Anyway, thank you for tuning in to another week of Have Blog Will Travel. We hope you enjoyed it.
yes, and we will talk to you guys again next week. And if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to hear about,
If you want to yell at us about not knowing that it was the World Cup,
come at us.
send it in.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys.
Have a great week.
Bye.